Welcome to another edition of Grace Under Pressure, where my guest today is Aaron Golub. I'll tell you all about Aaron in just a moment. Grace Under Pressure is the show that deals with what's too often dismissed as the soft stuff, the caring, the commitment, and compassion we show toward others. And when you do it as a leader, as you will discover that Aaron is, you do it to bring people together for a common cause. Aaron Golub, welcome to Grace Under Pressure.
Yeah, John, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to our conversation and discussion.
Great. I want to tell folks all about you. Aaron Golub was the first legally blind person ever to play football in Division I, which he did at Tulane. Not only did he play, he was captain of the team and became an NFL free agent. Aaron, as he says, never let his, quote, limited vision get in the way of success. His grit and determination is an example to all of us. And guess what? Not only is he a successful entrepreneur, he is a much in demand keynote speaker. And you'll discover today he's got a lot of tools for all of us to think about and how we can improve ourselves. So, Aaron, it's a pleasure to have you on Grace Under Pressure. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Now, of all the sports to choose, why football?
Yeah, I tried a lot of different sports growing up, really everything, baseball, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, nothing really stuck very well. And, I really liked football and I found a way to make it work. I didn't have to be a wide receiver or quarterback. I found a position that worked well for me.
And what was that position?
So when I started, I was an offensive defensive lineman. And in seventh grade, when I started playing, that was, fine. Didn't need to be overly big or, the best. And it was about learning. And when I went into my sophomore year of high school, I transitioned to long snapper. And that's what I really focused on. That's what I got good at. And that's what brought me to play at the level I played at.
Okay. So you went from high school, and now were you recruited at all by any college?
Yes. So, okay. I by the end of my high school, career, I was ranked as, one of the top long snappers in the nation and one of the top overall prospects in the state of Massachusetts. And I contacted every single college coach in the country trying to get in front of them and trying to get a spot on their team. And eventually Tulane, gave me an offer and an opportunity to go play there. And I was so thankful for that.
Now, did the coaches know that you were legally blind?
Yeah. So it was something I told them going in and they knew. And, fortunately they were willing to work with me. Most schools weren't, and that's okay. That's their prerogative. But I found a team that was willing to give me that opportunity.
Okay. So you went from, was it Boston then?
Yes.
To Tulane, which is New Orleans. I mean, that's a little bit of a contrast.
Very different places in the country, cities. But yeah, it was, New Orleans is an amazing city. The culture, the food, the music, I loved it there.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So what do you think? So as you come onto campus and as a freshman, and what was the biggest obstacle as you look back at it now?
Yeah, I think just going into a new environment, whenever you're in that type of new environment, you're in that big transition, there's always challenges, always obstacles that you face. And for me, I was so fortunate that from day one, I was surrounded by 100 other guys that were my brothers. We were going through training camp together. We built a bond really quick, really fast. And so I had them there. But, for anyone making a transition, it's hard. It's difficult. You're in this new situation that you're scared. You don't know anything about it. And you're kind of thrown in.
That's great. So what about how did your teammates react initially about your vision status? Did it frighten them? Curious? Or how did they deal with it at first, Aaron?
At first, I don't think they knew what to think. They just had never worked with anyone like me. But I think as soon as I had my first rep in practice where I snapped the ball and hit the defensive lineman as hard as I could, they realized that I wasn't there to take it easy on anyone and they shouldn't take it easy on me.
Oh, that's great. So I like that. You hit the defensive line as hard as you could. So it is known. I have actually a couple of friends who are long retired, but they played at high level in collegiate football. And two of them I know were offensive linemen. And they say that offensive linemen are the smartest on the team. Do you disagree with that, Aaron?
I don't know. I think it depends on the player. I think that there are definitely a lot of key mechanics to being an offensive lineman and understanding the game from that perspective. But you could say the same about quarterbacks. You could say the same about middle linebackers. I think it just depends on the person playing the position, and you see really smart people at different positions at different times.
Well, I see your humility showing through. You're a team guy, Aaron. So now, not only did you play, you were selected as captain. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, when Coach named me as one of our captains during my senior year, it was one of the proudest moments of my life. After my a little background there, after my sophomore season, when I played for the first time, 2 months later, our coaching staff was fired. We had gone 3-9 the last 2 years, and they were no longer there. And so the new staff came in, and like I said, I contacted every coach in the country. So they either didn't respond or told me no, because they were coming from a different school. And so I didn't know what to expect. They didn't know what to expect. We sat down and had a discussion and kind of came to this agreement that let's at least give spring ball a try, and never had the discussion again. And 2 years later, I changed his mind and opinion by showing him that I could be a leader, I could contribute, I would work as hard as possible and be a member of the team. And he named me a captain. And so I'm super proud of that moment and thankful for that opportunity.
That's a good story. So when a new coaching staff comes in and they don't know you from Adam, or maybe had that coach been acquainted with you? Was he one of the people that you had contacted?
Not particularly. When he came in and we sat down, I asked him, how much do you know about me and my background? And he had heard about it, but he didn't know a ton. And so I kind of explained, and he was definitely concerned. And, I almost quit football at that time because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I'm so thankful I didn't. And I kept going with it because it turned me into, the person I am today.
As you reflect on that moment, because you were essentially a young person, what were you, 20 or something like that?
Probably around that. Yeah. 19 or 20. Yeah.
And so, and you said you were tempted to quit. So what was inside you that said, no, I'm not going to? So
I think I just realized that if I'd had accomplished one of my goals. I played Division I football. I played, I played in games, but I think I realized that I would probably regret it for the rest of my life. And if I had quit, then there was no going back. It's not like certain other things. If you quit from that team, they're not going to let you back on that team. And I realized that I'll find a way to make it work. And I did.
So when you became a captain, other than playing, what did you sense, or you're one of the team captains, what was your responsibility? What did you feel your responsibility was for your teammates? So,
yeah, take care of the people around me, to be honest with you, was the big one. It's how can I push others to make them better every single day? Most people see a leader and they think that a leader is someone who's a CEO, who's a vice president, who's a manager in a company, or who's the coach, or who's the quarterback on a football team. And that's not true. A leader isn't the person who performs at the highest level. Yes, that can be one aspect of it. But a leader is the person who helps push the other people around them to get better every single day, bring out the fire within them, and be a good teammate and help them get better. And that's what I had to do. That's what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to lead through my words. I was leading through my actions and showing everyone what I could do in the weight room and how I could push them on the field, off the field, and help them get better. And that was my goal every single day. What can I do to take care of the people around me and help them get better?
No, when you say push them, give me an example. I mean, you were very specific about your actions, not your words. So what does that mean? So,
it's how you show up. What is the level of intensity you have in the weight room? What is the level of intensity you have during practice? How are you, showing up every single day on time in, whether it be to class, whether it be to practice, whether it be in any single area? If someone is struggling in the weight room, how do you support them? How do you help them grow? How do you help them push through the thing that is really challenging for them? And it goes the same way. I hate sprints. I love lifting weights. I hate running. It's one of my weaknesses, but I would always push myself, and I'd rely on my teammates to, help push and motivate me when, we did 15 sprints and the 16th is really hard for me.
Okay, that's good. It's interesting because when we talk, I'm glad I'm pushing you on this team aspect because when we discuss leadership, we always talk, just as you had said, the person at the top, the man or the woman and stuff. But I'm fully convinced that nothing really happens without the engagement of individuals and particularly the team. And
Yep.
what's your belief on team leadership? What does it? I think you've been describing it, but I'm just going to push you. What does it mean to you? So.
Yeah. I think anyone can be a leader within the team. It doesn't, like you said and I said, a title doesn't make you a leader, and it's how you show up every single day, and it's how you step into that role is what matters. I think a lot of people go into a team environment and they want to be the number one person. They want to be the best. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to be, amazing at everything I do. But
Yeah.
if you want to truly be a leader, it's how can you also push the other people around you, and the people who focus on team wins, more than their own wins are the ones who are truly leaders.
Tell me a little bit about a story, perhaps about team discipline. When it's my philosophy that the most successful teams are ones that discipline themselves. It doesn't always come from the coaches. Do you agree with that, Aaron? So.
Yes, I think you have to hold yourself accountable and your team accountable. I think that most of the time that doesn't happen in the beginning, though. There always has to be discipline from the top down.
Sure.
I think that, you can't, when you mess up and you get disciplined, that's how you learn. But sooner or later, as a leader on the team, as a team in general, if you can learn to come together, if you can learn to have that discipline, build those habits that create successful teams and environments, then you will, win more games, do better in business, create more success for yourself and the people around you within all of life.
Great. So you went to Tulane, you played there, team captain, you graduate, and then you decide to do what, Aaron?
I decided to, pursue the NFL and was a free agent for a little bit, did my pro day, talked to a few teams, and it was an incredible experience. Eventually decided to pivot into the world of business and entrepreneurship, but so thankful that I gave that a chance and an opportunity.
So, I mean, what was it like going? I mean, it's an incredible step for any person to go from college to the pros. But what was the lesson that taught you, Aaron? So,
I think just continuing to push and determination. It's a different level. There's different aspects there, and I had to do whatever I could to get to where I wanted to go. Whether it have been prepping for my pro day, whether it have been talking to a couple teams, what can I do to get better? And it's things that I obviously focused on in the past as well, but it's to a different degree.
I mean, I'm a non-athlete. I play golf, but what is it like to be around? I'm just going to push you here, to be around at a pro day when everybody is big, fast, strong, and all of that, and you're just one of them. Is it intimidating, or was it intimidating? So,
yeah, it's similar to college, though. When I was around some really great athletes and great players, and I wanted everyone to do well, but you have to focus on what am I doing right here, right now. That's an instance where you're focused on your performance. It's not a team sport, team game anymore. And so for me that day was, how am I going to snap really well? How am I going to lift weight really well? How am I going to run really well? How am I going to perform myself well? And there are certain times and environments that you need to separate yourself from the team, and you need to focus on yourself. And that's one of those environments. And for me,
like how you. I'm sorry, Aaron.
No problem.
No, I like how you break this down, because you talked about little things. I'm not being dismissive, but how you perform in a weight room, how you run sprints, how you communicate, all these things. All of this goes into being a good teammate. Correct? So.
Yeah, I mean, look, how you do one thing is how you do everything. In the opinion of, how you clean your dishes is how you do in business. If you lack care in one aspect of your life, if you make careless mistakes in one area of your life, you're probably going to lack care and make careless mistakes in all areas. And everything is congruent. And so you need to have the same mentality with everything that you do in order to be successful.
Great. So you graduate, you go into pro day. And NFL is not your destiny. You go into business, but there's something else. You go on the speaker circuit. How did that happen? So
Yeah, in college and high school, I had a lot of opportunities, was put on some very big stages for my story, interviews. I was on Good Morning America and some other things like that, and sharing my message with the world. It's never something I wanted to do back then. I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to play football. I didn't care about that side of things.
Yeah.
A coach at a young age said to me, Aaron, if you can add value to someone else and help them overcome their obstacles through your story, then do every interview that comes your way. And so I was willing to do it, but it wasn't a focus of mine. And I realized, after college and I was getting into the world of business, that I had a unique story. I had a lot of experience and I could turn this into a really big business. But more importantly, I could impact the lives of others through it.
Right.
And I set out to figure out how to do that. And it's been so much fun speaking on stages, virtually and in person, to companies, conferences, sports teams all over. It's been a lot of fun.
Great. I like how you do this because the advice that the coach gave you, it was, I'm guessing within you, there was kind of a reluctance of, it's not me, but the coach turned your head around and said, how many people could you help? Yeah.
I mean, look, when you're a 17, 18-year-old kid, you want to play football, party, have fun. You're not, come on, let's be realistic here. But the fact that I was willing to listen in that moment, was a big, change for me.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So you're out there. So one of the themes that you talk about is inspiration. What does inspiration mean to you, and how do you connect with it? So
when I talk about inspiration or motivation, in my mind, there are two lanes of it. There's internal and external motivation. And most people focus on what I like to call external motivation. And that is these external factors that push you. I want to do this because someone said I can't, or I look up to this person who's doing something great. I'm going to try and emulate them. And my opinion is external motivation can only take you so far. It can take you a day, it can take you a week, it can take you a month. Eventually that external motivation is going to burn out. The people who see the most success in life, in business, in relationships, in all areas are the ones who focus on internal motivation. And to me, what internal motivation is, I'm doing this because I want to prove myself right. I want to do this because I love doing this. Mm-hmm. And, for me, that's how I felt in sports. That's how I feel now in business and speaking, is I'm doing the things I'm doing because I want to prove to myself that I can do them. And when you have that feeling, the motivation doesn't last a week or a month. It lasts a year or years or decades. And that's how you truly see success.
Right. And I'm just, something you were saying triggered with me that I've heard many athletes, I'm sure that when you're in a game and everything is going well, there's a flow, you're in, call it the zone. Do you feel that, Aaron, when you're on the stage? So
I do. And it's funny because a lot of the times, and you understand this as a speaker as well, I'm sure, is I have prepared what I'm going to say and I get on stage and 95% of it's completely different than what I planned, because it's what comes out of my mouth in the moment that's going to add the most value to other people. I had a speech this morning virtually, actually, and I ended up telling some stories that I had no idea I was going to tell going in. And it just, in the moment, I felt that those would add much more value, and they just came out, and I trust the process, and it's an incredible feeling.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's somewhat of what I do too. But let's what you're doing though is you're channeling this, and it's not like you're just winging it, because you have prepared, and it comes out. So basically, I'll say this, Aaron, it's the best of both worlds. You do your prep, and then serendipity or the magic happens. Would you agree with that? So.
Absolutely, because the framework of the speech is still the same, but there oftentimes I'm talking and a different story comes out, or I take the speech in a different direction because for some reason in that moment I'm called to add value in a different way, and that's totally fine. And it ends up being amazing when that happens, but that happens all the time for me.
So what's the biggest lesson you've learned from public speaking, do you say? I mean, other than the mechanics, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I think that going into it, who would have known how hard it was to actually talk for 45 plus minutes straight? It's not an easy thing. Yeah. But I think just the ability to capture attention is one of the most underrated skills out there. Because if you can capture a room, if you can capture an audience, then that leads to so much more, whether it be sales, whether it be business, whether it be relationships, because grabbing someone's attention is one of the most valuable things that you can do. And when you can learn how to do that, it leads to incredible things.
So can you share an insight of when you're on the stage, what you do to grab attention? So,
Yeah, I mean, I have not really found, a specific trick, and maybe there is. Maybe you can teach me something there. But for me,
there's no
it's about
tricks. It's all hard work, Aaron.
it's about being really authentic.
Yeah.
Being authentic, focusing on adding value instead of focusing on how much am I going to get paid.
Yeah.
And when you focus on those types of things, people just gravitate to you. I have the best intentions for every speech. It's how can I add the most value to the people right here in the moment to impact their lives? And I think people just see that and pay attention because of that.
Well, I think one of the virtues that you bring, and I'm just going to dip into my bag of tricks, it's from your teamwork. When you were a member of your football teams, high school, college, you had a bond, a connection with others. And I think what you've been able to do, Aaron, is make a connection to the audience. And that's your authenticity.
Yeah. So. And look, it's something that I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm 25 years old. I'm going to be incredibly better in 5 years from now than I am today, and in life and business and speaking. And I think one of the things that I've had to learn, and I've had to learn the hard way, and it takes time, is look, I'm trying to accomplish things right now. And in some instances, speed always wins. I'm a big believer in speed when it comes to business. However, there is time to understand patience at the same time, because speed and patience can be congruent. And look, I'm not going to be, a top 10 or top 20 keynote speaker in the world tomorrow. But if I continue on the path I am 10 years from now, hey, maybe I will be.
Oh, I can see that. So, I like how because I was going to ask you this. You kind of beat me to the punch, because you're 25, and compared to me, you're just a kid. We're just a kid. I say that with a little bit of jealousy, but I don't want to be 25 anyway. But seriously, so when you're young, you have a degree of impatience about you. And so how do you discipline yourself to be patient, Aaron? So,
yeah. Look, like I said before, I think that there is a combination of speed and patience when it comes to business and life. And so when I say that, we have this understanding and belief that we all have more time. And yeah, you do have time, but at the same time, you don't. And I'm a big believer of, if you want to accomplish your goals, stop waiting for them, go figure it out, get working, start right now. And so I have tasks and habits that I need to do today, tomorrow, this week, in order to get myself there. And I'm acting in the present moment with as much speed as I can, not rushing things, but speed to get things off the ground, to get new business, to create new relationships, and to build. And that's what I think of when I say speed. However, I'm also understanding in the long run, I have plenty of time. And like I said, something like being a household name speaker, an Eric Thomas, a Les Brown, a Tony Robbins, those types of people, that's not going to happen in 30 days, 60 days, a year from now. But when I'm 34, 35 years old, yeah, I think there's a decent chance I can have my name be congruent with those types of individuals. But it takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of speed right now to get to that point down the road.
Okay, well, that's good. Now let's look at it. How do you keep your material relevant? How do you keep it fresh? So,
it's something that I've always thought about and struggled with is the fact that, I'm so young, I only have a handful of stories. Well, I have a lot of experiences, but I'm also building new ones. I was at an event this weekend, and I have a lot of experiences and stories from that. I'm gaining experiences and stories every single day. And so bringing those into the mix when it's the right time is really important, because you're always growing. I mean, yeah, one of the reasons the people I mentioned are better speakers than I am now is because they've had 30, 40, 50 years more experience than I have had. They've had more lessons, more stories, more things to share. And that builds over time. And I think just learning, being present, and understanding when you have those crucial experiences and lessons, how can you turn them into a way to share them with others?
Great. Obviously you are of great inspiration to anyone successful, seeking insights into how to better himself or herself. But if I sit back and I say, okay, I run a company, Aaron, what can you teach my organization? How do you deal with that, a broader scope?
Yeah, look, it's about how do you teach how to overcome obstacles? How do you teach leadership? How do you teach teamwork, diversity and inclusion? All of those areas. And one of the biggest mistakes people make in a lot of areas is focusing on age, and years of experience. If someone doesn't hire me because I'm 25 and they think haven't done enough, well, I think there's bigger issues there than they really see, because that's what they're focused on. You should be focused on the value. It's not about, hey, this person's been doing this for 50 years. You've been doing it for 5. What's the difference here? It's about how much value can I bring? It's not about how old I am in certain scenarios, and understanding that's important.
Okay, so I'm going to pin you down here. So, what do you say? What is to a corporate audience? What's the value you bring to an organizational viewpoint? So
look, it depends on what they're bringing me in to talk about. The talk I had this morning was achieving goals through adversity. How do you overcome the challenges, the obstacles that you're facing to overcome them and create success? And for that, it's talking through my story, talking through what I was able to do, and relating that into the world of business. If it's leadership or diversity inclusion, finding different stories that relate to that help show, not only in athletics, but within the world of business, within the world of building opportunities and entrepreneurship that I've seen, to relate back to them. And it's all about that relatability. If I only got up on stage and talked about athletics, people wouldn't want to hire me, because for a sports team, that's great. But for a company, you can only talk about athletics so much before they're like, why is this guy here?
Right. Well, good. So sadly, Aaron, we are racing through our allotted time. But as you know, I ask every guest a story about grace. Do you have one you wish to share one with us, Aaron? So,
I think one of the things when it comes to grace that I like to say is, I'm so thankful and so grateful that I was born legally blind. So many people focus on things in life happening to them instead of for them. And I think being legally blind happened for me. And because of it, I've been able to have incredible experiences, meet amazing people, and create just insane change and impact because of it. And if I wasn't born legally blind, I wouldn't have had those opportunities. And that's grace to me. I'm thankful and grateful for that opportunity, honestly, that I was born with that difference than other people.
Well, what a power! What a beautiful story of grace that is. And you touch on something else. It's not what happened to you; it's for you, and that is such a powerful leadership lesson, in the sense that that's what leaders do. It's not about you; it's about us. And so you, through your experience of being a team guy, but also an entrepreneur, so you're kind of balancing both worlds, as a solo entrepreneur or whatever, building a business, but also being part of a team. You kind of, in some ways, you've experienced both sides of the equation, the solo and the organizational. Would you agree with that? So
absolutely, and taking lessons from all areas and learning how to learn from all of them is really important.
Great. Aaron, how can people find you? So
my website's aarongolub.com. My Instagram, Twitter is at Aaron J. Golub. If I can help you in any way, reach out. My email is super simple. It's aaron@aarongolub.com. Reach out if I can help in any way.
Well, wonderful. Aaron, we will put your website in the notes so people can find it. Thank you very much. I know you have a lot going on. And so thanks for spending your time with us today. So
thank you for having me.
Great. And that will check out. So